All right. So today we're going to talk about the future of client acquisition for law firms. It's bold, right? To talk about something like that. So let's get right into it. Some information about me, President and CEO of Crisp Video Group. But let's dial it back a few years, okay? So this picture right here, my family and I, we immigrated from Russia to the United States in the late 80s, and this is the first photo that my family took in America. So I'm in the middle, and my brother, he's on my dad's shoulder. He's the pride of the family. He's a physical therapist, okay? And that swimming pool is a pool that my dad painted for $20, okay? So just a little bit about me is my background has been bootstrapping all of our businesses. Everything. No loans, no investors, no partners. Every single dollar that we made, we put back into the business to grow the business. We were learning those lessons. So when we talk about marketing, when we talk about making investments, we were making those same exact investments as we were growing and we were scaling up. And every type of marketing investment that you make, I believe you should be able to track that investment and be able to associate a return on investment or not with each one. It's important to track it. So my commitment to you, when I'm talking about this stuff, we are doing this stuff. We are investing in this stuff. Our attorneys who are having success are doing this stuff, right? And also my commitment is that you're going to get some value out of this. And if you don't, come see me after because I want to know. All right, another thing to talk about here. So about 3 years ago, I started my Avvo journey, right? Avvo 2014, had an Avvo booth, right? No one would return my emails, but we wanted to come out to this legal conference we heard of, right? About a year later, came back, I had the opportunity to speak at a breakout session, right? I was ecstatic. But not many people showed up to that one. The next year, got another breakout session, all right? A few more people showed up to that one. Now finally, here we are. Very excited. Maybe 2018, I'm back to the breakout session. But it's been quite an honor. And I'll say only in America, right? And speaking of only in America, how many of you guys remember this?
Tomorrow night, I think, when Hillary Clinton wins, that Donald Trump will have lost this election from the very first day he announced and took off after Mexicans.
Classic Trump. I think you have to view last night's debate as Donald Trump's concession speech. He realizes he can't win.
He had no chance, in my view, and the numbers are going to bear that out tomorrow.
Well, I can't find a single Republican who now thinks they're going to win.
You can't go into a general election with only 25% of the Republican base behind you and expect to win in a general. You just can't.
That's an awfully difficult lead to make up. It really is at this point, particularly when Trump's negatives remain in the 60s, which is just almost unprecedented.
We may lose by historic proportions.
It's just that he knows he can't win, so why not?
No. I think Donald Trump has fooled himself into looking at his crowds and the rallies and the size, and he thinks that's America.
He had no chance to win doing what he was doing and with the Latino community feeling so targeted from the very first day he announced.
This guy isn't a Republican. He can't beat Hillary Clinton.
Right now, a historic moment.
All right. See, oops, all right? How many of us saw that coming, right? And I'm not going to get political. This is why I think I'm back to the breakout session next year. But this surprised a lot of us, right? Regardless of your political affiliation, like, no doubt, like, we didn't think this was actually going to happen. So how did he do it, right? And there are a variety of reasons, I'm sure theories as to why. But I'm sure we can all admit that social media had an impact, okay? Facebook and Twitter played a huge role in the election. So this is actually quite interesting. The Trump campaign approached this election quite differently from the Clinton campaign. Not only did social and Facebook help generate the majority of their $250 million in online fundraising, more of their ad spend went to Facebook and Facebook ads than any other platform. In the Clinton campaign, they spent $200 million on TV ads in the final months of the election. The Trump campaign spent half that, right? So Facebook for the Trump campaign was a powerful way for them to hone their campaign's message. They were able to, run several split tests to really fine-tune what people were responding to. In fact, on any given day the campaign was running, 40 to 50,000 different variants of its ads. Things like, different variations, static ads versus video ads, different differences as far as some had subtitles, some had a different color, some had different words and copy, and so on. And on the day of the presidential debate, they were running over 175,000 variations of their ads. So these were, this is very powerful for them. They were able to find what somebody was responding to, what people were not responding to, and they were able to fine-tune their message. okay? So social was their primary communication channel, and not just for canned messages, but for actually interacting with their supporters and starting new conversations, no matter really how controversial they were. So this is interesting to me because there's a lot of key takeaways that we can apply when we're talking about growing our businesses, and particularly as we move forward, into the digital age. What made that campaign so successful? I think it's really three main things. One, there was a very clear and unique value proposition that connected with about 50% of the country. They engaged emotionally, got a lot of news coverage, good or bad, okay, and effective content distribution. So where I said I wasn't going to get political, right, regardless of your political affiliation, whoever's next and whoever's going to be in the next debate will have to play this game this way, right? Because ignoring this and focusing solely on traditional advertising just has proven not to be very effective. So we're going to talk about a few of these things. But just a show of hands, I want to know, who's the best attorney in their market? Come on, right? I've spoken with thousands of attorneys. I have never spoken to an attorney who didn't say that they were the best attorney in their market, all right? So our team, we were searching online, we're looking at the messaging from various attorneys and law firms, and they put together a little segment of some of the things that we were hearing. Because a lot of times we hear, I'm different, right? I'm different from anybody else. I've got a different message. I've got different marketing. Well, check this out.
If you've been hurt, if you've been hurt,
if you've been injured,
if you've been hurt, if you've been injured,
if you've been hurt,
if you've been injured,
if you've been injured,
if you've been hurt,
if you have a lemon,
you may be entitled.
You may be entitled. You may be entitled. You may be entitled.
You may be entitled.
Let me help.
I can help you.
We can help.
I can help.
I can help.
We can help you.
I can help.
Experience.
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 experience,
Experience.
Experience.
experience, experience.
Get the money you deserve.
Money you deserve.
Everything you deserve.
Money you deserve.
Cash settlement you deserve.
The money you deserve.
The money you deserve.
The money that you deserve.
Money you deserve.
Everything you deserve.
Fight for you.
Fight for you.
Fight for you.
We'll fight for you.
We'll fight for you.
We'll fight hard. Fighting hard.
Fight hard.
Fight really hard.
Call me.
Call me.
Call us.
Call me.
Call me. Call me.
Call me. Call right now. Give us a call.
Call my office.
Contact us.
Call me.
Call me now.
Please call me.
Call toll free.
Call the law firm that makes it rain.
All right. So I actually think the guys at the end, they're pretty unique. All right. So here's the problem, right? There's over 1.3 million attorneys in the United States. If you search Avvo, check this out. You search New York personal injury lawyers, New York City, right? There's over 4,000. How many show up on the first page of Google? 10, right? So what about the rest? And from a messaging standpoint, how do you stand out? Because there's a lot of options for attorney at law. So this is a very important challenge that unless you solve it, you will be viewed as a commodity, as a attorney, rather than the right attorney, okay? In fact, we see this all the time with all sorts of content. I mean, check this out. These videos were created for 4 different law firms. You go to their website, you see this video, right? They're all talking about how hard they're gonna fight for you, right? But if you're a client, or you're a prospective client rather, and you're searching online, you're going to these different sites, they all start to look the same. The service offerings are the same, even the videos are the same, okay? So let's talk about unique value proposition. I know you guys got a couple handouts. Let's fill in the blanks. What is one reason someone should hire your firm that has nothing to do with price, services, or years of experience? Can you answer that? Right? Because these things right here are not differentiators. And if your only differentiator is price, I mean, that's a race to the bottom, right? The services you offer, okay, and then 300 years of combined experience, that's wonderful. But clients, they all see that you're super lawyers, right? To them, every site looks the same. So being able to answer this and articulate this can hone your messaging, and that's what can really differentiate you. So I actually had one honest attorney tell me, I solve problems I didn't create for people I don't know. All right? Who can relate? So the important thing here is to be able to answer your why, not your what, right? Establish a connection here, because many attorneys, they offer similar services, but not for similar reasons. Really think about what sets you apart, having an authentic story, not just focusing on services, but more so on benefits, right? Simon Sinek, he says, stories are our attempts to share our values and beliefs. Storytelling is worthwhile when it tells what we stand for. Why do you do what you do? What differentiates your firm? Why are you the best firm and the best option for a prospective client? So a good way to figure this out is to ask your clients, right? I do this every month. Call a few clients and just quite simply ask them, why did you choose to hire me? Why did you choose to hire our firm? Because their answers might surprise you. You may think it's because you're super aggressive in the courtroom and you're really representing them well, But they may tell you, well, it's because you were responsive, or you listened to me, right? And that's the real reason that they chose to hire you. So understanding this value proposition is something that you can use in every single marketing, piece of marketing that you put out. It's what drives people to you. So everyone is sharing helpful information, right? If you've been on Facebook, you search on the internet, everybody's blogging now, right? All attorneys are blogging. For the most part, most are now. That's not enough of a differentiator. There's so much noise out there. I'm sure we all have more than enough content that we can always consume. We have more than enough articles to read, all these different blogs. So set your firm apart by offering value. I mean, check this out. Look at this blog post. Steps to take after a car accident. Step 1, seek medical treatment. Step 2, call an attorney. Thank you, right? That's very insightful. Now, on the other hand, this is actually a firm we work with, Broussard and Hart. They've got an article up on how social media can affect your case, and they don't just answer how it can affect your case, but what you can do if you're facing trial, things that you can do to protect yourself. See, that's value. Those are actionable insights. Provide true information, not just words on a page to fill the blog quota, to check off the box and say, you know what, I've blogged for the week, we're good to go. Because the reality is there's so much content out there that this stuff doesn't matter anymore unless you're providing valuable content that people share, that provides them true, actionable insights. All right? Now let's talk about engaging emotionally. I'm sure you're all wondering, what's going on with this car, right? We must be out of our mind. So I won't dispute that. But, back in December, we decided we wanted to launch the most ambitious client referral program that we could come up with. And we were going to do it and give away a Tesla because, quite frankly, we figured an iPad or an Apple Watch just wouldn't do it, right? We work with successful firms, so how do you motivate an attorney, a business owner, CEO essentially, to want to get engaged at this level, right? So we took a gamble, we placed a bet on a car. But it wasn't just about that. With everything that we do for our clients, it's very much client-centric. We care about these guys, You can't look at the people you do business with as a short-term fee, but as a long-term mouthpiece for your business. Our clients are our partners. We're vested in their success. So when we do things like this, if we're asking our clients to invest in their business, to innovate, we want to lead by example, and it needs to be congruent. So we're giving this car away. Now, we actually had a private event yesterday we took our clients to. This Tesla driving experience was awesome. We had several clients driving in Model S's, Model X's, but I can't show you this video, all right? Apparently what happens in the Tesla showroom stays in the Tesla showroom. All right, so knowing the audience, right? And this is so important when you're talking about connecting emotionally. Do you understand truly the demographics of your ideal clients? Their age, ethnicity, household income, all those things, and also their pain points when they're coming to you. Are they searching for an attorney, or are they searching for a solution to their problem? It's very different, right? And then also cost versus value, right? Because I'm sure we all want the clients that aren't simply looking to differentiate based on cost, who's the cheapest option, because at that point, they're just, the value you offer is irrelevant. They're just looking for an attorney. But the true discerning clients, those higher value cases, those are the guys that are wanting to find the best attorney, regardless of cost. So really be understanding of this because, we identify, this is our audience, right? We work with the ambitious attorneys who are serious about growing their firm. Not attorneys that are, maybe I want to grow a little bit, maybe not, indecisive. No, thank you. No, thank you, not for us. Please, do not stop by our booth. People who are engaged in their business, willing to change, prioritize quality cases over just simply the quantity of cases, value their time, are accountable, and want a competitive edge. So if we're talking to somebody who doesn't meet this criteria, they're not for us, and that's okay. We're not for everyone. All right, so we get asked this a lot. Michael, does music drive emotional engagement? If you've seen Shawshank Redemption. So our team at the office, we did a little interesting almost case study, if you will. We took a clip from one of our videos without music, and then we put some epic music on top of it. Let's check it out.
I grew up here. I grew up here just north of Boston. My family's here. I really care about this community, my community. Boston's entrepreneurs are like the heart of this amazing city. When Boston's small businesses succeed, the community succeeds.
All right, that's Travis Jacobs, Boston business lawyer. Now let's look at the same clip we just saw. Let's add some epic music on top of it, see if it makes a difference.
I grew up here. I grew up here just north of Boston. My family's here. I really care about this community, my community. Boston's entrepreneurs are like the heart of this amazing city. When Boston's small businesses succeed, the community succeeds.
Okay. All right, but maybe it's just that video, right? Maybe it's just Travis, right? Let's look at another one, see if it's still the case.
That's a huge machine over there with all the money, with all the resources. So someone has to stand in their way because they will take what they want if someone does not. They have to prove their case, and we're going to make them do it because no one is getting my client without coming through me.
Great. Let's add music.
That's a huge machine over there with all the money, with all the resources. So someone has to stand in their way because they will take what they want if someone does not. They have to prove their case, and we're going to make them do it because no one is getting my client without coming through me.
Okay, so it can make an impact. And you know what, just for fun, right? We've got a lot of clients here, there's about 25 of you. We put together a piece, what it would look like maybe if you all joined forces. Let's give it up for these guys. Put Batman at the end of that thing. Okay. All right. All right, Mike. Okay, you got me on music, but does emotional connection matter? I want to show this video. I just want you guys to know, before I play this video, that I'm not out there searching goofy lawyer videos, okay? This isn't something that I was digging through YouTube to find. This is on this attorney's homepage, okay? And I'll stop playing this thing, right? But you'll see what I mean when you see it, right? When this thing comes down from the homepage, right, I'll stop playing it.
You may not need it. I would say over half the people that contact me, I tell them they don't need me. If you're seriously injured and you think you're going to have an injury that's going to affect you the rest of your life, or you have an injury that has affected or destroyed your life, or they're trying to say, the insurance company or another party's trying to say it's your fault, then you need an attorney. First thing I always ask when somebody contacts me, are you hurt? Because only you know if you're hurt. Your children don't know. Your spouse doesn't know. Only you know. I'm a personal injury attorney. I only represent people that are hurt. If you're hurt, give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to you and see if I can help you.
So this kind of stuff is out there, right? I mean, you think about that, right? When someone's coming to your website, they want to make an impression, they want to get an understanding of you as an attorney. Should they hire you, right? I'm sure he does get business, after all. But what can a video like that do for your firm? So really think about that. So when we talk about does emotional connection matter, let's look at another example. Okay, this is a video that we produced for criminal defense attorney Bill Bly out of Maine. Check it out.
When you've first been charged with a crime, you're facing the weight of the government, whether it's a state charge or a federal charge. They have all of the money all of the resources, these charges and convictions can have life-lasting impact and consequences. It can rip your entire life apart, and that's what you're up against. It's a very scary thing to be charged with a crime. All you have is the decision-making power to find the right attorney. We can give you information. We can guide you through the process. Most importantly, we can provide a strategy for how we're going to deal with these charges. There's a lot that the right attorney can do for you. And the beauty of retaining an attorney is that you get to make that choice. Because when you're charged with a crime, you now have the scarlet letter. And it's my job to do my very best to have that stain removed from you. Because society will look at you differently.
Bill is invested in the people that he represents. You have to feel comfortable. You have to believe in the person that you're working with. And Bill Bly is passionately driven to do the very best he possibly can for whoever he defends. Anybody who works with him can rest every night knowing that you're going to get the very best. When looking for some peace in my life, in a place that I could reach out and grab onto, I guess you're going down the street, you're reaching out for the vine to grab onto. This was it.
The law is extremely complex. I'm a big believer in specialization in one field of practice. If you want to defend people's liberty when their lives are on the line, then you need to put all of your energy and focus into criminal defense, and that's all I do. Law enforcement is not perfect. The prosecution is not perfect. But when you're facing the weight of the government with all of their resources, and you have no one to turn to except the right attorney, and that's the person that will act as your shield, and I'm going to stand between you and the government, and I'm going to make sure that you're treated fairly, and that we're going to defend each and every aspect of the case in a vigorous and aggressive manner so that we can get you the best possible outcome.
All right, so two very different videos, all right? And that is the difference between hiring a attorney and the attorney, okay? So how you position yourself matters. If people can connect with you, that matters, right? They want to see how you're different. So perception is reality. Your videos, and for that matter, all of your marketing, are a direct reflection of your firm. And low quality videos, they can deter high-value clients. And I don't just mean quality in terms of whether it's shot in HD or professionally, but if you don't have the right message, if you're not connecting emotionally, you just don't give someone a reason to really care about you. There's a lot of options out there, you know? And potential clients, they often see this kind of stuff as the differentiator between good and bad attorneys, effective versus ineffective. So why should they invest in you if you don't invest in yourself, right? So emotional connection matters because there's, the emotional mind and the logical heart. I think we know that a lot of us make decisions emotionally. Now, look, it's not to say that logic isn't important. Logic is very important, but emotion is what makes your message memorable, and that's what drives action, right? You want to get people to take action? Connect with them emotionally. You can state all the facts. You can lay out, here's exactly why we're the best. Here are our case results. We're kicking ass. We've represented this many people. We've achieved, this much in settlements. And logically, you're a sound fit. But if you haven't connected with them emotionally, there's chances where you're not going to drive them to actually reach out to you, book a consultation, fill out a contact form, some sort of action. All right, so we've covered value proposition and emotional connection, but you can have the best content that you've ever produced, or even the best content that any attorney's ever produced, and if nobody sees it, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get results out of it. So effective distribution matters. You got to get in front of the right people, right? Those qualified clients that we're talking about. So let's talk about the impact of social media. I'm sure we're all on social, at least our businesses are on social. Facebook, this is a juggernaut, okay? We can talk about all the other ones, right? Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, but Facebook, just user base alone, is dominating every other platform. I mean, 1.79 billion monthly active users. Your average person spending 21 minutes on Facebook a day. I don't know if that number is true based on some of our team members at the office. And check this out, 1.4 million in revenue every hour, not bad. And that continues to go up. And if you're on Snapchat, right, this is a really great app. It's reaching 41% of the 18 to 34 demographic. So something to think about. And video's outperforming all these different content types on social, just in terms of overall engagement and conversion. So YouTube, all right, here's another one. World's largest or second largest search engine behind Google and owned by Google. But I don't know if you read the Wall Street Journal a few months ago, but YouTube's on pace. You know, they're topping over 1 billion hours of video viewed a day, on pace to eclipse TV. And they reach more 18 to 49-year-olds than any cable network in the US. So think about where the eyes are going. All right? Now, Facebook, they're crushing it. Everyone's on Facebook. And I hear this sometimes, my clients aren't on Facebook. Everyone's on Facebook, okay? My grandparents are on Facebook, great-grandparents, right? I mean, maybe short of infants, right? But everyone's on Facebook, okay? And as far as actual time that Americans spend on their mobile devices, Facebook gets more usage than Google and YouTube combined. But here's the opportunity. Only 6% of business are active advertisers. Now, as I'm sure we've seen, when you post something on your Facebook business page, how many likes and shares do you typically get, right? In most cases, let's say you have 1,000 people that like your page. Are 1,000 people seeing that post, whether it's a blog post, a photo, video, you know, whatever it might be? Chances are it's very low engagement. And in fact, Facebook's organic reach has been going down quite steadily, year over year over year, to the point where anything you post on your business page, no one's going to see it. I mean, you might see like 30 people will see it, 20 people. But if you're going to go through the effort of producing all this great content, whether it's writing an amazing blog post or sharing something that's going on in your office or in your community, you really want to make sure you get it in front of enough people. So Facebook's very much become pay to play, okay? Now, this makes sense, all right? So think about it. If every business that you like on Facebook, if every time they posted something, you would see that post in your newsfeed, that wouldn't make for a very good user experience, right? So Facebook needs a way to discern that because they want to keep users on Facebook. They want to keep people collaborating. They want to keep people being social. They don't want to see a bunch of advertisements, especially for various businesses. So to get in front of an audience, you need to put a paid spend behind it or boost a post, right? To put some sort of money behind a post. It doesn't matter if it's $5 even. But I don't recommend you post anything on your business page unless you put some money behind it. $5, anything. Especially if you want to get that content in front of people. So every time you post a piece of content, boost it, right? Because what's the point of going through all that effort if no one's going to see it? Now, Facebook ads, and hopefully, you know, we've experimented with Facebook ads at some point. These are incredible, okay? This is the gold rush today, right? What Google AdWords was maybe 10, 12 years ago, Facebook ads is today. The level of targeting is absolutely incredible. Facebook offers the most comprehensive interest-based data over any other ad platform in the world. I mean, you can target, I mean, I'm sure we know age, gender, location, all right. But what about things like household income? Whether they like hunting, fishing, and NASCAR, whether they use Macs or PCs or iPads, what are their online spending habits, were they recently separated, things like that. When you put together your ideal client persona, the level of targeting is incredible. What about people that were recently in my city that don't have auto insurance, but don't live in my city? Incredible. So what about Google AdWords? Right? Well, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but 78 of the top 100 most expensive PPC terms are legal, including, you know, let's see, best mesothelioma lawyer, $935 a click. All right? That's not per case, that's per click, right? 100 clicks is $100,000, all right? So if you want to be an asshole, I'll let you guys figure that out, all right? But, look, I'm not saying, like, if Google pay-per-click is working for you, keep doing it. That's the same thing with any type of ad platform, right? If it's working, keep doing it. And it may be worth a $100,000 cost of acquisition if you're getting 7, 8-figure cases. So I'm not saying this stuff is ineffective. It can actually be very effective, especially if it's working. But when you look at what are you getting in terms of ROI dollar for dollar, right now, Facebook's going much further. Now, this probably won't be the case forever, because every time I talk about Facebook, it gets more expensive, right? More and more attorneys start advertising on Facebook. So definitely take a look and check it out if you haven't done anything in the way of Facebook ads yet. Now, let's talk about something else. You know, when you get your content online, let's say you put a video on your website. You know, having a high-quality video on your website can improve conversion rates by 300%. Meaning, let's say 100 people visit your website, 5 of those people submit a contact form or fill out a consultation. If the content is effective, if you've got an effective video, now you're going to see of that same 100, 3 times as many converting, so 15 submitting a contact form or reaching out to you for a consultation. And then, of course, time on site. Positive search indicator, videos keep people on your website longer. But that aside, let's look at just overall legal conversion rates. WordStream reports that your average legal website's getting 2.07. Like, that's the conversion of visitors to actual contact form submissions, consultations. I actually think this number is even overestimated. I think it's much lower. But think about it. It's a very low number. Of all the people that find you online, if you're spending a lot of money getting people to your site, the number of people that are actually converting. So what's happening to the rest of them, right? You know, they're going somewhere. And like, let's factor out the guys in, you know, Indonesia or, you know, whatever, the guys that would never be clients. But assuming they're in your market and could be a client, right? So something you want to think about is retargeting. I know there's been some discussion of that today, but if you don't want to get into a lot of interest-based targeting or even keyword targeting, the low-hanging fruit is retargeting. So I'm sure we've all seen it. You know, you go to a website, let's say you're shopping on Amazon, or you're looking at, you know, a vacation, and now you go somewhere else, and you're seeing ads for the luggage you were looking at, right? Or the trip you were looking at. It follows you all across the web, right? And in terms of your law firm, what if somebody visits your website and, you know, you focus on motorcycle accidents, right? Now you can retarget that person not just with your website, but what about more information about motorcycle accidents, right? Or content specific to them. You know, it's much more relevant. So if you're serving up the right content to the right people at the right time, your chance of converting them is going to be much higher. And you can retarget them across the web as well. It doesn't have to be on Facebook, right? So people who are retargeted are 70% more likely to convert. It's simply getting the people that are already visiting your website that didn't convert the first time, following up, being top of mind, right? So here's a retargeting strategy that we use, that we've seen is very, very effective. Right? You drive organic, you know, and/or paid traffic to your website through quality content like blog posts, FAQ videos, ebooks, whatever it is. Let's say you post something on Facebook, right? It's not a consultation request. It's not call me, but it's some sort of content that's valuable. And then you retarget those people with, you know, some sort of conversion-based content, whether it's a, you know, a video, client testimonial, some sort of call to action, right? Rather than hitting them up front with, book an appointment with me right now, right? They don't even know who you are. Hit them with some content they might find valuable, and then retarget those people that have already been to your site. And we found that over the long term, this cost of acquisition is much, much lower than the money you will spend getting them to reach out like immediately before they've built up any sort of trust. So let's talk about the Berry Law Firm, right? John Berry, he represents veterans who are seeking medical assistance and compensation for those who've been injured while in service, right? So John reached out to us. His goal was to attract better clients and cases. And he decided to invest in video with us back in 2016. But before we talk about John, I want to talk about something else, because this is actually a very interesting story, and I want to give you guys a little background on how this came to be. Let's do a flashback to Lawyernomics 2016. All right, so for those of you who were there, we have this amazing case study. Dan Stockman, criminal defense attorney. You know, he came to us, and he's a solo firm, young guy, right? He was, I mean, essentially, he was up against this juggernaut. Low and inconsistent number of new cases per month. He didn't have much time to really work on his business. The cases that he was getting were very low-value cases. And then when people would call him, he'd have to sell himself to those clients, right? So, and of course, the several failed marketing promises. Now, on the other side of town, his competition was this 10-attorney firm. They had years of experience, right? They were dominating the market, right? Higher budget cases, huge advertising budget. I mean, they were on everything short of the urinals, okay? And they've got an in-house marketing team. So it was just Dan. So how's Dan to compete, right? So over the course of a year, Dan went from a very low and inconsistent number of cases to a consistent number of cases. The cases that used to average about 1,000 now were averaging 10 to 15,000. He had more time to work on his business and marketing, and ultimately, you know, Dan had a wonderful life. And Dan was there in person to talk about it. He's not here today, but we did a video campaign with Dan over the course of a year, right? It was a huge investment for him. So here's the twist. I didn't know at the time. I'm giving this amazing case study. We're having this Weight Watchers moment. You know, people are crying. They're clapping for Dan, right? And then this gentleman approaches me afterwards, and he says, I don't know if you know this, but I was the other firm in your story. Okay? So with that, let's introduce John Barry, who's here. So we produced a series of engaging videos for John. We did a video marketing campaign. When John actually came to us, the first thing we told him was, John, we can't work with you, okay? Because we're working with Dan. And for those types of campaigns, we give our attorneys territory exclusivity. So we couldn't help him on the criminal stuff. But we said, all right, we'll help you on the veteran stuff, right? So we ran a campaign, still running a campaign, and let's just say even just on Facebook. We created this video, put it up on Facebook. In a week, 37,000 views, 700 likes, 500 shares, okay? After 2 months, over 100,000 views, over 1,700 likes, over 1,100 shares, and now this is approaching, it's well over 250,000. The numbers are much higher. You can go to their page and actually see it for yourself on Facebook. It's pinned to the top. And then, clients were actually commenting on that video. You could actually read the comments. I found the Barry Law Firm a godsend. They helped me when everything I tried failed, right? A lot of social proof. Thank you, Barry Law Firm. And then if you keep reading, you'll see, there's prospective clients asking about things like, do you guys take cases out of state? I had my disability benefits taken away, and so on. And Barry Law Firm does a great job of responding to these guys to the point where it's brought in over 100 leads, right, in just a few months. But, it's one thing to hear it from me. John's here, right? So, John, tell us about your experience. Did this really happen?
Yeah, and you missed the beginning of the story. Actually, I had met Mike at Avvo. It was my first, Lawyernomics, my first time here last year. And I went over to his booth and was talking to him, and I didn't know that he did our competitor's video. And so I asked him, and I said, just asked him about his business. We talked for about an hour and a half. And then the next day at his presentation, I went up to him, I said, you know that firm? That was us. He took some of our interstate drug cases. And Dan and I were friends. We actually clerked together at the public defender's office about 20 years ago. And so Dan was referring some of those cases to us. As you guys that do criminal defense know, usually when there's an interstate drug stop, there's a driver, there's a co-driver. So then I told Mike, I said, that's us. So then I asked him if he would be willing to do a criminal defense statewide video for us, and he said no. But we talked about our veterans law practice, and I think it was the best business decision I made in 2016. It was so good that I decided to redo it for my other practice areas this year, in 2017. And I think, we could talk about the number of clients and the value in terms of money, and those are all great things, but I think there was a bigger lesson here, and that was how that decision affected how my team, and me specifically, looked at our firm. When you go through the process, Mike and his team make you really drill down and get clarity as to what your message is and who you are as an organization, what you stand for. And so I know, you can do exercises and talk about it, but when you're put to the test, and then you see that first draft of the video and you go through all that stuff, it brought a lot of clarity to our team. And so after I did that video, then I tried to for our PI section, we tried to do a video through a commercial, through a television commercial that I was going to run on a couple different channels. They didn't do as good of a job. And we'd set this bar, this standard of excellence through Mike's video, and then I called him back and I said, oh, by the way, I need you to do a PI commercial for me, because we couldn't go back down. And so not only has it helped us get clients, but in terms of recruiting team members, and in-house, the Kool-Aid marketing of what are we all about, I think it's just a very powerful step to take in defining your brand and defining your team. So I'm grateful to Mike and his team. I'm not an easy guy to work with. There were a lot of edits, there were changes. I told them we were going to go here, no, we're going to go there. But they understood my vision, and they made me create it. And that's why it was the best decision, because then that precipitated, other decisions came from that that have helped us to grow tremendously. So, Mike, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Now, I got a little surprise for you, John, okay? I got a video this morning submitted to me, and I threw it in the presentation. I know we were talking about Dan Stockman. So Dan reached out, and he filmed a short little video for us.
Hey Michael, Dan Stockman here. Sorry I won't be there this weekend. I'm at my office right now just finishing up some final details before I head out to Belize for about 10 days of fun and sun on the beach and a little relaxation. I do have a quick message to anybody out there though. The video marketing that Crisp Video has done for me has proven to be well worth the investment and quite honestly has allowed for me to take this type of vacation. One last quick note to my friend John Berry, who I know is in the audience there tonight. John, when I win that Tesla from Crisp, you can drive it back from Vegas for me, but that's it. That's the only time you'll get to drive it. Have a good time, everybody. Talk to you soon.
So I don't know if Dan's hanging upside down. That's great. All right, so let's recap on a couple things, right? We talked about largely the formula for effective content, for really driving results behind the content that you produce. You know, it starts off by having the right message, being able to clearly articulate what sets you apart. Why are you the best option? Why should someone work with you, right? What differentiates your firm? Engaging your audience emotionally. If you want to make that message powerful, and if you want to make that message drive action, you got to connect emotionally. And then finally, targeted distribution. If you want to really get the most value out of your content, you got to get it in front of the eyes of where people are at, right? Sometimes it's not on your website, sometimes it's not on YouTube. It could be the various social platforms that they're using, but it's very important to get in front of the right audience. So I'll leave you with this, right? Let's all, this is very important, I believe, for all of us to be honest with ourselves and put yourself in your potential client's shoes. Bust out your phone, Google your city, the type of law you practice, and lawyer or attorney, whichever you prefer. And see what comes up. Visit those other websites. Ask yourself, honestly, would you hire yourself? Are you the obvious choice? Because if you can't answer that confidently, well, the reality is, the best cases are going to somebody else, right? They're going to the person whom those clients connect with, those clients engage with, that they believe that they trust, that they see a degree of authority with, right? And look this up because potential clients are doing this all the time. Right? They've got a variety of options. It doesn't matter if you're #1 on Google. They'll still check out 2 and 3 and 4, right? They're always going to look at more options, especially the more discerning clients, because if they're trying to find the right attorney for them, they're going to look at a few options, and it's very important that your messaging and that your value proposition is congruent with that. So thank you guys very much.
All right. Thank you, Mike.